your seat. We're going to start our event tonight. So, thank you everyone for coming out. We welcome everyone here, and it is a great opportunity for us to meet the candidates. And I just want to acknowledge our sponsors for tonight that made this event possible, with the goodies in the back and just organizing this event and also coordinating with the candidates to come. And we just want to thank them. It's the New Hyde Park Chinese Association, the Sunny Chinese Center in New Hyde Park, the Korean American Civic Empowerment, the Heritage Korean Community, Heritage Chinese Association, and the North Hempstead Indian Malayali Association. Okay, so thank you for all the sponsors. Really, this is a great event that we are able to just hear from our candidates. So it is election time, so we want to hear from them so you know how to vote. And we just want to let you know that we invited all the candidates. We are not here on any one side. We invited all the candidates, and as you saw from the flyer, George Santos was unable to attend, and earlier today, Rubuti Ja was also unable to attend. So he called me and he informed me regretfully that he was unable to attend as well. So tonight...
That's because he's a racist, just so people know.
Sorry. So
right here.
we are going to talk about the format and the rules for tonight, and please refrain from commenting. We want to have a very respectful time for all the candidates. So if you could refrain from commenting, we also email questions, general questions that I think you would all be interested in hearing from the candidates about. So we email them questions. They will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves and 2 minutes to answer their question. If you have any, we're not going to take any questions from the audience. So if you have any questions, there will be time at the end to mingle with the candidates and to have some refreshments. So we ask that you just respect this event that we put together tonight. Okay? So the format is we're going to have the New York State Senate. Tonight we have Anna Kaplan. Jack Martins is running late, so hopefully he'll be here in an hour. We'll try to fit him in. And Dinsel will have a 30-second time limit, okay? So we'll give each candidate 2 minutes. He will give 30-second warning, okay?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Anna Kaplan. I am New York State Senator, proudly representing the 7th Senate District. I know many of you, worked with many of you, a lot of leaders in this room. I want to thank all the leaders, the sponsors, and everyone who has put this event together so that you, public, our residents, could hear from us, get a feel as to who we are, and hopefully help you make that decision to go out and vote and exercise your fundamental right in this country. And I also have to say congratulations, really wonderful source of food and candy. Thank you again for coming out, all of you. I know it's difficult time, your parents, raising your families, coming home from work. Thank you so much for being here today and taking time from your very busy schedule to hear us out. I think many of you know me well. I started with my running for office for library and then worked my way to town council, town of North Hempstead. I served for 7 years, and in 2018 I ran for New York State Senate, and I was successful, and currently I'm serving my 4th year and running for re-election. You all know I came to this country at age 13 without parents, and I'm blessed to say when I left my country and came here, this country opened its arms to me and welcomed me and gave me opportunities. I went to school, high school, college, and then law school. I got married, had 2 wonderful children, and decided to stay home and raise my children. My children are product of the public school here. And just like many of you, I'm one of you. I moved to this district because of the quality of life, because we want to make sure that we send our children to the best school possible and give them the best education possible. And I know I'm running out of time, but I want to say, I want everyone here to know, everyone, to know that when I saw the disgusting Islamophobic statement made by the Republican candidate running for assembly in my community, I was horrified and spoke out and condemned it right away. We are all immigrants here. We are what makes the tapestry of America great. We are a melting pot. I look at us and this district that I represent, and I am so proud to represent people from all over. And if only each and every one of us had an opportunity to break bread with each other and to sit down and to learn about each other's customs and traditions, we could find out that we have so much in common, and that our unity could be our strength. Our diversity is our strength, and that there's nothing we can't accomplish when we join together for the benefit of our community, our families, and our children. Thank you.
And I'll start with the first question. Asian Americans are among the fastest growing minority populations in this region. According to the most recent census data, the town of North Hempstead in particular saw a 62% increase in the Asian American population over the last decade. With Asian Americans as such a large and growing part of the regional population, can you discuss your relationships and support of the AAPI community throughout your career?
As I said, I'm privileged to represent this wonderful, diverse district. People coming from all over and calling New York their home. And I know, like many of you, you moved to this area because of the wonderful schools. We have some of the best public schools here, some of the best public schools in the country. We move here for quality of life. We move here for our parks and libraries such as this, because we want to do everything possible to give the best possible upbringing and education to our children. I'm one of you. I did the same thing, and that's why I'm here. And I ran because I wanted to make sure that your voices are being heard in the hallways of Albany, that your concerns are being addressed. And I really do believe when we unite and when we have an opportunity to work together, we accomplish a lot for the benefit of ourselves, our communities, and most of all, our children. I've partnered with a lot of leaders in the last 7 years that I was in council seat, and then 4 years in New York State. I look forward to working with each and every one of you to hear you and to address your concerns.
Thank you. The second question is about crime. So crime obviously has become a primary concern of residents, specific to Asian and Asian Americans. The start of the COVID-19 pandemic brought with it an increase nationwide in anti-Asian harassment and violent crime. How would you plan to combat crime, and specifically, how would you address racially motivated hate crimes?
So we've seen a rise in hate crimes targeting Asian Americans in the last few years. And it breaks my heart to get a phone call from a parent whose child has been targeted, or to hear and read stories about Asian Americans being targeted. We saw during the pandemic how prominent elected officials in our own country demonized Asian Americans with racist remarks like Chinese virus, and basically putting a target on the back of every Asian American. inciting a tragic level of hate and violence toward Asian Americans. I proudly have stood up and fought against Asian hate. I've worked to deliver $20 million for local AAPI organizations to combat Asian hate in our communities. I've introduced legislation to provide our law enforcement $500 million additional funding to help them and give them the tools and resources they need to keep our communities and our residents safe. I'm proud to have the endorsement of New York City PBA, the largest law enforcement PBA in the country, and the New York State Troopers. And it shows my dedication in working with them to making everyone in our communities safe. And finally, I also believe that education can play a big role in fighting hate crimes, because I think when we have education, it's in a critical way we can combat ignorance and hate, and we need to teach that at every level of education to our children.
Thank you. So a recent topic being discussed nationwide is the Supreme Court's decision on Roe v. Wade. What is your stance on the Supreme Court's decision, and how do you believe it should factor into New York's approach to this?
Protecting women and protecting choice has always been my priority and will always remain my priority. I remember 4 years ago when I was running for this seat, there were people who asked me, why are you running for this seat? And I said, my goal is to codify Roe into New York State law. They laughed at me. They ridiculed me. They said it's law of the land, Anna. It's 50-year-old law. It will never change. And all of us have seen the extremist Supreme Court overturned a 50-year-old law, a law that I counted out on, and I've been a beneficiary of. I stand on the shoulder of all those women who fought 50 years ago for those rights. And it is my job to make sure that we have those rights for our daughters, our granddaughters, our sisters. I also wrote the law that makes New York a safe haven, not only for New York women, but also for women from anti-choice states. My opponent had opportunity to codify Roe, but he voted no. He's running on the conservative line, which is pushing for a total ban on abortion, which includes rape and incest. At a time like this, when we are in a very difficult time in this country, we can't trust an anti-choice man to stand up for women's rights. We need a proven leader, a woman who always stood up for women and who will always stand up for women in Albany.
So whether it is the cost of goods or the cost of housing and taxes, many residents of New York, particularly younger adults, are finding it difficult to establish their lives here and may end up having to leave the state. How would you help to address the high cost of living here in New York State to ensure we retain our residents?
I know it's been a very difficult last couple of years. No one knew how to deal with the pandemic. And there are still a lot of families who are hurting out there. We've tried very hard to have different programs to help out with the burden that the families are dealing with. And I know that we're putting pandemic behind us and moving forward. I'm really proud to say that we in 2019, because of my advocacy, made the 2% real property tax cap permanent. Because I know how hard my residents work. And I want to make sure every level of government is understanding as to how to spend those tax dollars. I'm happy to say I've cut middle class income tax to the lowest it's been in decades. I'm happy to say that an average of almost $1,400 was brought back and put in pockets of the working family homeowners here in my district through a rebate, tax rebate checks. I cut the gas tax and I made sure that the county followed up in our footsteps. I also chair small business and economic development, and I have worked with the Business Council and have made sure that we brought grants for our small businesses here. And that's why I have the endorsement of the Business Council. I work with anyone and everyone who wants to help me get results for my residents and for the residents of the state of New York. And I will continue to fight for you and advocate for you.
We have received record rainfall and flooding in our communities, which has led to much property damage. If elected or re-elected, what can you do to help property owners minimize their damages and improve the infrastructure to prevent these floods?
So, you and I all know climate change is real. We're seeing 500-year floods are happening on a yearly basis. We really do need to take action. Again, I'm very happy and very proud of my record and what we've done. I made sure we banned toxic waste from children's toys, banned toxic chemicals from home products, stopped drilling in state of New York. We need to do a lot more. And I invite each and every one of you to please, when you go out to vote, to turn the ballot and vote for the $4.2 billion Bond Act. Long Island and our region would benefit from that a great deal. We can build into our resiliency, into our coastal lines. I hear from residents, and yes, homes being flooded in areas that were never in flood zones. We need to take action now. And this bond would really help us. And will bring back a lot of funding for our region and help us deal with some of these flooding issues and climate change. So please, when you go out and vote, make sure you vote yes. It is a bipartisan vote. We did a presser with representatives from both sides of the aisle who are asking their residents to vote yes. I encourage you to also vote yes on that bond.
Thank you, Anna. I think this is all the time we have. If you have 2 minutes for closing remarks before we take a break.
I don't really have much in terms of closing remarks. I am truly blessed to do what I do. To be a representative for 330,000 people. To say I am a political refugee and to have come to this country and I've ran for one of the highest offices in New York. And to have been elected so that I could be a voice for every single one of you. And to represent you and be your voice. And to make sure that I do everything in my power to bring back record funding for our public schools so that every child, like the ones here tonight, are benefiting from the best education possible and from making sure not going into more into your pockets for taxes. I've brought back record funding for our public schools. Last year alone, 33% increase for Herrick School District. I'm proud to have brought back record funding for our roads and our highways. I'm proud to have brought back record funding for our villages and our towns. My goal is to do whatever I can so that you, as the residents of this district, benefit from my work. It's an honor and a privilege to be your voice. I hope you all know my door has always been open, will always be open to you. I'm only a phone call or an email away. I have worked with a lot of leaders in this community. I've worked with a lot of young adults in this community. And I love this partnership, and I look forward to representing you for another 2 years. And I promise you, I will do everything in my power to make sure that I show how I stand with you and how I stand for you and your community and your families. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. God bless you, and God bless this wonderful country we call home, United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. We really appreciate you taking the time out today. As you guys know, election day is next week, so the candidates are running around. So we really appreciate you taking out the time.
I have one more plug. Early voting is available because we know how hard it is for people who work. One day wasn't enough. We made those changes, so we have 10 days of early voting. Please find out in Nassau County, if you're a Nassau County resident, you can go to any 19 early voting sites and vote. And please bear in mind, it is a long, long ballot. There are about 21, 22 people. They start with the state. There's about 15 judges in the middle that are double endorsed. And then there's congressional, New York State Senate, and Assembly. Please go all the way. I tell everybody, do it the biblical way. Go from the right to the left. Thank you, thank you. And I really want to thank you again all for coming here tonight. I really appreciate you coming and wanting to hear from us.
Now we're going to take about a 10-15 minute break. 10-minute break. So we're going to take a 10-minute break, and then we will have the New York State Assembly.
Question?
We're not taking questions.
Hey, oh, I'm putting all these faces with names.